So with the big news of a Marvel NetherRealm Studios fighting game, I feel like it's time to talk about it. I've seen a lot of other videos from people talking about Marvel vs. DC from NetherRealm, and here's why I don't think Marvel vs. DC should be the first Marvel NetherRealm Studios game. What's up, everybody? My name is Toot, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another discussion about some of the speculative news we've gotten from that insider Daniel Rickman, talking about a Marvel NetherRealm Studios game being in production at NetherRealm Studios. Now, while we should still be taking everything with a grain of salt, I do think it is the perfect time to start the conversation about this because of how Injustice is. Now, a lot of people are going to be, probably rightfully so, upset when I say that we don't need a Marvel vs. DC game off the bat, and I'm going to give you my reasoning here in this video, so let's go ahead and jump into it. So to start out, I want to put this in perspective. We have Injustice, right? We've got Injustice 1 and Injustice 2. Great games in my opinion. Injustice 2 was admittedly a lot more projectile based than Injustice 1 and MK9 and MKX, but it was still a really fun game to me. That's where I got my pro start, where I started competing. I have a lot of love for that game because of that. That was my, first big pro game. Now, the thing with Injustice 1 and Injustice 2, think about those two games, right? We have an extended, a pretty big cast of characters. I can't remember how many characters exactly are in Injustice 1 and Injustice 2, but it's over 25 at least. It's around 28 I think somewhere around in there. But either way, we have all of those characters, and we got combat packs in Injustice 2 and Injustice 1. We had one combat pack in Injustice 1, I believe, and then we had 2 or 3 fighter packs in Injustice 2. And we got all of those characters in that game, and you know what the thing about it is? We were still missing tons of characters. There are still DC characters that people love, such as John Constantine, Beast Boy, so many other characters that have not been seen in Injustice 1 or Injustice 2 that a lot of people love, that we still really want to get our hands on and play. Now, transfer that over to a Marvel game. If it was just a Marvel game, they have a better chance of getting a lot of those characters in there, a lot of the characters that we want to play in the game first. The problem with a Marvel vs. DC game to start with is there wouldn't be enough space for all of the characters we wanted. See, the reason I want a Marvel fighting game from NetherRealm Studios, just Marvel first, because it gives us a chance to experience what we experienced with Injustice 1 and Injustice 2. We still haven't gotten every character we wanted in Injustice 1 and Injustice 2, but it was still a roster built up solely of DC characters. We got to experience as much as, we could with a character limit in the game. I feel like it would work a lot better for Marvel at first to do a Marvel game, because the roster will be so limited if it's Marvel versus DC. Not only on the Injustice side will we still miss out on characters that we've really wanted to see for the past 2 games and haven't been added because they're not top of the line, everybody knows them DC characters, so we'll still miss out on those characters. And on the Marvel side, we're going to be missing out on pretty much any character that's not an Avenger or maybe a Guardian of the Galaxy. We're going to be missing out on so many characters because the roster will be so limited, because they have to account for both sides. They have to account for Marvel and DC. So I think to start it all off, to get it going, to make sure they have a good grounded foundation building up this Marvel series, the theoretical Marvel series of NRS games, I feel like a Marvel specific only fighting game would be the best way to go to start out their run on Marvel games. Now, is that saying that I don't want a Marvel vs. DC game ever? Hell no. That is something I've wanted since, I started playing fighting games, since I knew what Marvel vs. Capcom was. I've wanted Marvel vs. DC forever. And I'm not saying that they couldn't do DC guest characters in the Marvel game, but to kick it off, to give the Marvel fans what they want, to get us all the characters that we want to play from the Marvel side, instead of feeling limited and feeling like we're missing out on characters, feeling like having the feeling of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite again. I feel like Marvel should be its own game to begin with. We should get our own story mode, our own variation of Towers of Time, our own guest characters for it, whether, it's, movie guest characters, whatever. Or they could build up, you know, the Marvel vs. DC by doing DC guest characters in the game. And if they do Injustice next, then do Marvel guest characters in Injustice. I think that would be sick. Or even if Injustice comes out next, do Marvel guest characters there. That way we can have a little bit of Marvel vs. DC, a taste of Marvel vs. DC. But I still feel like a Marvel game needs to come first. And there's nothing wrong with guests, like I said. But I feel like the roster will be way too limited if we get a Marvel vs. DC to start out with. I hope we still get Marvel vs. DC, and if we do get a Marvel game, it's 100% going to lead into a Marvel vs. DC game. There's no doubt about that in my mind, but we'll just have to sit back and wait and see. Still, I mean, this is all speculative because we got an insider leak from Daniel Richtman saying that, you know, production has started, but details were very, very thin and, you know, far and few in between. But I do believe that this is going on because of the conversation that Ed had, you know, with Marvel, as known in his Game Informer interview from back in 2019. You guys can look that up. I do believe this is actually happening. I was just waiting on the news. So, I just feel like this would be the best way to go about it to begin with. I want you guys to let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you think they can make it work? Do you think they can make a Marvel vs. DC game to start with work and not have it feel like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite in the limited roster? Because, I mean, they have to account for the Fantastic Four that Marvel has rights to, the X-Men that Marvel finally has rights to, the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and so many other characters. If they wanted to do characters from Justice League Dark, or not Justice League Dark, but Dark Avengers, or even Justice League Dark, you know? I mean, it just feels like they'd have to account for too much, and too many characters would be missing to start with. If you're gonna have those characters missing, I feel like it's best to give the characters and then have them missing in the crossover game. That way we can at least still go back and experience that in some type of way. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about this. For more news, updates, and everything on Marvel, on the NetherRealm Studios Marvel fighting game, when we get it, how we get it, where we get it, subscribe to the channel and turn those notifications on to hear about it from me. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like on the video. It means a lot to me. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time. My name is Toot. I've been your host. Peace out.